Hey there guys, so this is a new series I'm going to be starting for my channel. It's a series I've been wanting to do since I started this channel. You know, I've been doing, like the other series, like the Unsolved Mysteries and talking WWE and stuff like that. So, I really haven't gotten around to doing this yet. But this is going to be a series about talking comics, pretty much just summarizing them, reviewing them of what I think of them, and just stuff like that. So like any fans of DC or Marvel or any kind of comic, if you enjoy comics, then this series is for you. So the first comic I'm going to get into is actually one that I really freaking enjoyed, and that is Batman Knightfall Volume 1. Now this is kind of the introduction. Well, it is the introduction of Bane, and it's cool. It talks about like how his mother was in prison, and she had him in prison, and I guess she ended up dying somehow. I forget how. It's been a little while since I've read it, but yeah, she ends up dying in prison, and then it talks about like how Bane had to actually grow up in the prison and like fight through his way to survive, just kind of like how it showed in The Dark Knight Rises. It's just not as it's not as good as the comics, but yeah, it's pretty much just how it was in that movie. Just in the comic, it's better. So yeah, it shows his upbringing, and then eventually he's trying to take over Gotham and fight with Batman and stuff, and Jean-Paul Valley is in it as Batman's kind of like protege student, and Tim Drake is the Robin in this one. Also in this, all like Arkham Asylum is I forget what happens exactly. I think Bane destroys it somehow. Like Bane breaks through it, and all the prisoners from Arkham, like the Joker, Two-Face, Penguin, like Poison Ivy, like so many, Catwoman, so many of these different villains are broken out of Arkham because of this guy. And now Batman has to go out to the streets of Gotham and take down all these guys. Plus he has to take down Bane as well, and that's no easy task. So like eventually, like Batman starts taking down each villain, and then it leads to his fight with Bane. And also, I'm gonna backtrack for a second. The introduction to Bane is very long. Not that that's a complaint, because I enjoyed it. It's just it's a really long introduction. But anyway, back to the Bane Batman fight. This is where it really draws you in. It's a high action packed fight. It's back and forth, but Bane ends up getting the upper hand, and spoiler alert, breaks Bruce Wayne's back. So now he can't be Batman, obviously, because he's paralyzed, and so now Azrael, Jean-Paul Valley, has to take up the role of Batman. And at first he does good. He does a pretty good job as Batman. But then he starts like hearing all these voices in his head of like the Order of Saint Dumas and his father in his head. Like just like telling him that you're a knight and you should kill. That's what you do. That's what you were trained to do. And he ends up being like a loose cannon. And he really turns out not to be the Batman that Bruce had trained him to be, and he just comes a relentless force. He's reckless. He gets this new Batmobile that's created by this one guy that works for Bruce. I forget his name. It's been a little while since I've read the comic, but yeah, and it's got like a rocket engine in it, and it just like he flies like insanely fast through the city, and he's reckless, and like he doesn't want help either. Like, you know, Tim Drake tries to be on his side and tries to fight with him, and you know, tries to get him on a good path, but he just won't listen, and he won't work with him either. So he begins to become even more loose cannon, and eventually Jean-Paul goes on to fight Bane, and he ends up beating Bane. And you know, then it takes into the second volume, which I'll probably review sometime eventually. But yeah, you know, it's definitely it was the first graphic novel I'd ever bought. It was around the time when I first started collecting comics, and you know, I was originally buying the single backs, and then you know, like, it was cool buying those and everything, but like I would just read through them like so quick, and I wanted something bigger, and I wanted something more, and then I walked into a comic shop just like an hour or so, or 20 minutes, or a half hour away from where the city I live in, because like we have comic book stores here, but you know, they're just not as good as this one. This one's called Big B. It's in Barrie, Ontario, actually. It's really awesome comic book store. And yeah, I walked in there one day, and you know, I was looking around, browsing around the different comics, and you know, I saw this book, and I was captivated by it, and like I was like on the cover, you know, like it shows Bane breaking Batman's back, and then I looked at the back of it, and I started reading the back of it, and you know, I was just like wow, this like really seems like it's going to be an awesome book. And you know, it really was. Like, I could not stop putting it down. Like, it was all I was doing. I think I read it in like 2 or 3 days. Like, I could not stop reading it. I was just so into it. And you know, I grew up watching Batman the Animated Series, and you know, I love Kevin Conroy's voice as Batman. I think he's awesome. He's the best at it. Also, he's the originator of that too, actually, if nobody knew that. Because nobody had really done the whole two-voice thing really before. I don't even think Keaton did it in the '89 Batman movie. He may have, but you know, I could be totally wrong. But I believe Kevin Conroy was the first one to actually come up with the whole two-voice idea. And you know, of course you have Mark Hamill as the Joker, and you know, he's awesome as Joker. I love everything that he's ever done as the Joker. I'm actually really excited for The Killing Joke. I'm probably gonna watch that tomorrow, and I might actually do a review on that. I may do a review on the comic book too. I read that one as well, and that's also a phenomenal piece as well. But anyway, back to Batman Knightfall. You know, I got so into it, and like every time, you know, I would read a Batman part, you know, I would hear Kevin Conroy's voice as Batman, like, you know how he has that deep brooding voice, kind of like that right there, and you know, like that just brought me into it even more to want to read it. I couldn't put it down for like 3 days, and then I eventually finished it, and I was like wow, like that was like one of the best comic books I had ever, or like, well, yeah, like that was some of the best comic book writing I had ever read, and it really was. And you know, like these actual comics, they came out in the '90s. I think it was about '93 they first came out. And you know, it's a great collection of comics, all put into this one book. And I had to keep getting them. So I got Volume 2. I read through that. I got Volume 3. I've kind of been slacking on reading that, so I haven't finished it yet, but I will eventually. I know I'm close to finishing it. I've been distracted by by getting other comics, you know, like with the new DC Rebirth and all of that. So I've been getting those lately. I actually just picked a few up yesterday, so I'll probably read those and review those as well. But yeah, anybody who's a fan of comics or is new to comics and wants to get into comics, I wouldn't start with this book right now unless like you really want something that's like nice, that's like a nice big book. Like this book is like it's 630 pages, so it's a pretty big read, and there's a lot of information to take in. But yeah, you know, I recommend it to anybody. Like if you love comics and you're a Batman fan or a DC fan like me, I definitely recommend getting them. Like not just this one, but the other two too, because like the second one was great too, and it really delves into Azrael's version of Batman, and it shows Bruce Wayne's recovery as well, and you know it's great as well. And I definitely recommend getting the third one too, because it's, from what I've read of it, it's awesome. So yeah, yeah, definitely pick up this book for sure. It's a great read. You won't be disappointed. If you're anything like me, it'll be hard to put down. So yeah, that's basically just how I wanted to introduce this series. I thought reviewing this book would be a great start off to it. So yeah, you know what? If you like this series and you want to see more, subscribe to my channel, because I'll be putting out a lot more reviews and talks of this. I was thinking about doing like a superhero, like talking about like all the different CW shows and like the animated movies and stuff. I think I'm just gonna combine like this series and the ideas for those series into one thing. I'm not sure what I'm gonna call it yet. Probably like, I don't know, superhero discussion or something. I don't know. I'll figure a name out. But yeah, yeah. If you like this video, give a thumbs up. Comment in the comment section. I'll reply back. You know, we can talk comics or whatever. We can just shoot the shit. Just talk about anything related to comics, or the new movies coming out. Like Suicide Squad's coming out, and that looks freaking phenomenal. I'm excited for that. Yeah, we can talk about anything superhero related, DC, Marvel. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm definitely more of a DC guy. Kind of getting off track here. I'm kind of rambling on, but yeah, I'm more of a DC guy. You know, just because I've always found DC more dark and more adult. Where Marvel, you know, like it has its moments. Like, you know, with characters like Punisher and Blade and even Daredevil sometimes. I'm sure there's others. You know, like, so they've proved that they can be dark. And like even with the shows like Daredevil and Daredevil, you know, it shows that Marvel can be dark, but like, you know, it's also more like brighter and kid friendly and all that. You know, that's kind of where I've taken. It's just kind of where I prefer DC more, because it's just more darker and adult. And you know, obviously, like Batman's always been my #1 favorite for sure, out of anybody. Just because he's, you know, he's a lone guy, you know, and I can kind of relate to that. I can relate to him a lot in a lot of different ways. But yeah, anyway, I kind of got off track there. Maybe that's a future video talking about my love for DC and Batman. But yeah, anyway, if you like this and you want to see more future content, subscribe, give a like, and I'll see you in the next one.